I listened to H.R. McMaster on cable television talking about how we cannot be certain that ISIS-K, who carried out those deadly, horrible attacks on the Kabul airport yesterday, is not working with the Taliban because they're all in the same ecosystem, aka they're both brown and Muslim. So we're doing this again. We're creating links between rival groups and using it as an excuse to keep ourselves engaged in a forever conflict and the forever war and forever bloodshed. The one difference is that Biden doesn't seem to be buying it this time. But I guess talk about what you've observed over the past week or so when it comes to this conversation.
I'm sure this has come up on the show, but I just read Spencer Ackerman's new book about the history of the war on terror, Reign of Terror. And to go back into the early 2000s and the political debate in the media landscape, it's absolutely stunning that everyone just is replaying it, because that was the atmosphere then in the onset of the war on terror, was to create an undifferentiated enemy consisting of Islam in general, and in doing so to conflate all these, different, often warring groups. That's how we ended up going into Iraq. The people in the Bush administration, for many of them, they just said like, well, now, for some of them, it was just like, now we have an excuse to do it. But there was a just genuine sense that like, they all have to be in it together somehow, right? And that's what the media and it's what the warmongers are doing now. They want to ignore the messy political realities of the actual situation there and ignore the actual different groups involved and just say we're at war against the concept, and to go to war against this concept, which involves like everyone who could be up to no good in this one part of the country. We can't let the fact that the Taliban are actual avowed enemies of ISIS-K, we can't let that get in the way of our war on the concept. And it's alarming to see how easily the media slipped back into this. But as you say, I am sort of surprised at the resolve Biden has showed in the face of it.
It's amazing, right? It's amazing to hear these words come out of our mouths.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably because we're on Peacock. We're selling out here. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it must be it. But I am interested in it because he is correct that a lot of what maintained our presence there was this just fear of the blowback that they were going to get whatever president withdrew our troops. And part of it too is just we want to continue United States hegemony and we're a part of this American empire project. Like ideologically they wanted to do it too, but there was a fear of the press losing their minds exactly the way that they're doing right now, because there was going to be mess and there was going to be bloodshed whenever we did withdraw. So his resolve and his ability to kind of just say, no, I'm going to be a curmudgeon and stick to this. There's bravery in that, honestly.
Yeah. And there's something really galling about reading, you'll see a stray line in a New York Times column that'll be like, Biden's taken a hit from his messy Afghanistan withdrawal. And it's like, you're the ones delivering the hit. Like, this is you delivering the hit right now. And that sort of unwillingness to acknowledge their own role in the creation of narratives is one of the most annoying features of the political press. But and I think it had to be a guy like Biden in a sense. Again, I've been reading histories of our forever wars. Andrew Bakovich's history I was just rereading a few weeks ago too. And Biden was the guy in the Obama administration who was saying the generals are yanking your chain. The generals just want to stay there forever. They're not winning, but they want an endless commitment. They want endless commitment and they're not delivering. Biden was a guy saying that back then, and he's still that guy. And what you need is, and people have said this, but Trump, who cares a lot about what TV says about him, even though this was his withdrawal plan, he would not have carried it out once the media turned on. But Biden, because you have a guy, I think, who is like, I think it's in part credit to his own arrogance, because he's got Senate brain, and Senate brain means like, I know more than anyone else in the room. I've been around the block. You know, I've been doing foreign policy since before you were born. And it takes like a guy that confident in his own rightness to have actually carried this out without backtracking. So like one of his most annoying qualities is definitely working in his favor right now.
Yeah, Biden comes through the same way in Michael Hastings, The Operators. And this isn't to like put Biden on a big pedestal, because I think like the previous presidents haven't been good in this regard. But as far as standing up to the military, like that's just not something presidents have really done. Like there's old JFK tapes where he's like bitching out the military for spending too much money on like furniture. And I think he's probably the last president that would have done anything remotely close to that.
Yeah. And especially like since, I mean, especially since post-Vietnam, you know, the civilian oversight of the military has been completely deferential. You know, it's always because the civilians took the blame for losing Vietnam. Like, and then the civilian politicians were like, we will never again, like we will never again question whatever the Pentagon and the DOD want. Like they're in like, you guys get whatever you want. And to have a president who is like, doesn't accept that entirely. And we should say too, like, my God, the how much did the DOD and the Pentagon budget go up in the last year? Like, it's not like he's not standing up to the military. It's on this one particular thing where he's not giving them what they want and he's standing firm. Like, it's not a sea change, but it is like still something we haven't seen in years.
Well, he's holding the line in terms of our kind of Venezuela foreign policy, Cuba. He's still, I think, more hawkish than I wish he would be when it comes to Iran. With Israel and Palestine, he's maintained the line. This has just been something where he has decided, and he's clearly felt this way for a while, that he can puff out his chest and say, no, I know better than the generals here, and you guys are trying to give me the runaround. And he's right.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.